Good day, senior high school students. Welcome to English for Academic and Professional Purposes class. I am Sir Renzo Raso Reyes from San Pedro National High School, San Simon, Division of Pampanga. I am glad to be with you in this journey as you discover new lessons in EAPP. Before we start, I want to make sure that you are in a comfortable place, having the copy of your module in EAPP, your answer sheets, together with a pen and your notebook for noting important details. Before we proceed, let us first introduce the most essential learning competency, and that is uses appropriate critical approaches in writing a critic. And here are the learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, the learner shall be able to define critic, identify the various approaches in writing a critic, criticize the text using different approaches of criticism, and lastly, apply the appropriate critical approaches in writing your critic. Alright, I think you're all ready. Let's start with an activity called Picture Analysis. I will be posting pictures, then interpret, analyze, judge, or give your own perception based on the things you see in the pictures. I will give you 1 minute to interpret each picture. You can generate a lot of interpretations as you want, because in this activity, there is no right or wrong interpretation. I guess that we are all set, so your timer starts now. Next picture. The last picture. you have it. Now we will do our rationalization. But again, I'm reminding everyone that in this activity, there is no right or wrong interpretation.
Let's start with the first picture. This picture might discuss about social economic issues. It shows that there are unequal distribution of wealth in the society. That is the cause of human struggles. The picture depicts that there are conflicts existing between the rich and the poor. We can actually have a lot of interpretations and analysis from this picture, but closer to it is the depiction of women oppression. We can see that the shouting moment in the picture connotes that patriarchal and male-dominated environment still exists in the modern world. This picture is very familiar to us, and I believe that we might have the same interpretation of this scene. Now, this picture obviously tackles the execution of Dr. Jose Rizal during the Spanish colonization. As we take time to ponder, this picture does not only talks about terrorism of Dr. Jose Rizal, but it also tries to remind us the sufferings and sacrifices of Filipino people during this time.
I can feel that all of you are enjoying our activity today. So, what have you observed in our activity? Our activity today speaks us about how we interpret or analyze things. In this activity, we conclude that all of us have different interpretations of the things around us. How did you interpret the given pictures in our activity? We interpret or analyze by just simply evaluating or criticizing things we have seen from the pictures. Some of us may have their interpretation by just simply focusing in the things they have seen from the pictures. Or some of us might interpret pictures because things they have seen from the picture has a personal connection to their personal life. Thus criticizing or evaluating a text, picture, or even a piece of literature helpfully understanding its message. Criticizing or evaluating, for instance, a piece of literature will help the readers get the gist of a literary work. Let's proceed to our lesson proper, entitled Critical Approaches in Writing a Critic. To start with, let us define what is critic.
A critic is a careful analysis of an argument to determine what is said, how well the points are made, what assumptions underlie the argument, what issues are overlooked, and what implications are drawn from such observations. It is a systematic yet personal response and evaluation of what you read. It is a genre of academic writing that briefly summarizes and critically evaluates a work or concept. Critics can be used to carefully analyze a variety of works such as creative works, which include novels, exhibits, film, images, poetry. Research, like monographs, journal articles, systematic reviews, theories. And media, like news reports and feature articles. Like an essay, a critic uses a formal, academic writing style and has a clear structure, that is, an introduction, body, and conclusion. However, the body of a critic includes a summary of the work and a detailed evaluation. The purpose of an evaluation is to gauge the usefulness or impact of a work in a particular field.
Why do we write critics?
Writing a critic on a work helps us to develop a knowledge of the work's subject area or related works. an understanding of the work's purpose, intended audience, development of argument, structure of evidence, or creative style. And a recognition of the strengths and weaknesses of the work.
How to write a critic.
Before you start writing, it is important to have thorough understanding of the work that will be critiqued. Study the work under discussion. Make notes on key parts of the work. Develop an understanding of the main argument or purpose being expressed in the work. Consider how the work relates to a broader issue or context. Read about the critical approaches. You can highlight some important ideas. You can use this in expressing your views.
Now, let's talk about what are the various critical approaches in writing a critic. We have several of them, but in today's lesson, we will only tackle 5.
Here are some of the critical approaches in writing a critic. We have formalist criticism, feminist criticism, historical criticism, sociological criticism, and reader response criticism. In formalist criticism, it focuses on the text. If you're going to analyze a text, focus on the text itself. The background of the text, the background of the author doesn't matter. What we care most about here is the text itself. You're going to criticize what is in the text. Next is, it uses close reading. When we say close reading, you're going to read the text word by word, because formalist critics believe that every word has a relation to one another, and that the words here are correlated and they have relationships. Next, it ignores the author, reader, and social context. The author's opinion, the reader's opinion, the social background of the text doesn't matter. What we are looking for in the formalist criticism are the imagery, the figurative languages found in the text structure, the text style, and the tone of the text. Next is feminist criticism. Here, you examine women in literature. But it is not just women. It is the tension between male and female imagery within a piece of literature. And then, we explore how both symbols are being treated. Our female symbols being diminished or being pushed down or being suppressed. Our male symbols being champions. We might also find that the female symbols are free and loose. This criticism reveals how our culture views men as superior and women as inferior. Historical criticism. This approach seeks to understand a literary work by investigating the social, cultural, and intellectual context that produced it. A context that necessarily includes the artist's biography and milieu. A key goal for historical critics is to understand the effect of a literary work upon its original readers. Next one is sociological criticism. This criticism focuses on man's relationship to others in society, politics, religion, and business. Lastly, the reader response criticism. This approach takes as a fundamental tenet that literature exists not as an artifact upon a printed page, but as a transaction between the physical text and the mind of a reader. It attempts to describe what happens in the reader's mind while interpreting the text and reflect that reading, like writing, is a creative process. Now, with the use of any of these critical approaches, let's do this activity. Give your own critique about the following lines. Number 1. A school is a school, not an automotive shop, by EOB. Number 2. I am willing to scrape down the barrel for education, by President Duterte. And number 3. I am not after the penalty, I am after the order, by Isko Moreno. You will write your own critiques on your notebook, and you have 1 minute to do this activity, and the timer starts now. Let's have another activity. Read the statement of President Rodrigo Duterte and answer the questions that follow. I will not allow the opening of the classes na magdidikit-dikit yung mga bata. Wala nang aral, laro na lang unless I am sure that they are really safe. It is useless to be talking about the opening of the classes. Para sa akin, bakuna muna. President Rodrigo Duterte, Monday, May 25, 2020. And here are the guided questions. Number 1. What is the main topic of the statement of President Rodrigo R. Duterte? Number 2. What are its strengths and weaknesses? And what is your opinion about this? And number 3. What are some reactions of other department heads, especially the Department of Education? You have also 1 minute to do this activity, and the timer starts now. Now, to determine if you really understand the topic for today, let's apply the skill by doing this activity. Summarize what you have read by completing the table with what you understood. Write your answers in your notebook. You have 1 minute to do this activity. your assessment, I will play a song entitled Babae Ka by A. Montano. You may read or sing this song and make your criticism on the song using any critical approaches in writing a critic. Your work will be graded with the following rubric: content with 10 points, organization with 10 points, grammar and mechanics with 10 points for a total of 30 points.
Babae ka, hinahangad, sinasamba, ipinagtatanggol, ikaw na may walang laya. Ang naitik mo, lagi lang isang tahanan. Ganda lang ang pakinabang, sa buhay walang alam.
Ng pagpunlad, sa'yo'y laging nakasara. Harapin mo,
Buksan mo, ibangon ang iyong pagkatao. Babae ka, kalahati ka ng buhay. Kung ikaw kaya'y wala, sanang buhay ipupula. Pinatunayan mo, kaya mong magpaalila. Ngunit kaya mo ring magpalakad ng bansa.
ang pito ng pagpunlad, ngayon sa'yo'y nakabungad. Harapin mo,
Buksan mo, ibangon ang iyong pagkatao. Babae ka, dahil sa akala ay mahina ka, halaga mo ay di nakikita. Isip mo ka sa lakas ay kulang, ngunit sa isip ka tiniyayaan, upang ang tinig mo'y maging matapat siya, upang ika'y lumaya. Lumaya ka, babae pinagpala. Ang ganda ng dating sa iyo nagmumula. Babae ka,
And for the additional activity, search and choose an article, an excerpt, a movie, an artwork, a song, an event, or a program that focuses on a very timely issue in our country, and criticize it using any critical approaches in writing a critic. Your work will be graded with the following rubric: content with 10 points, organization with 10 points, grammar and mechanics with 10 points, for a total of 30 points.
So before we end this, were you able to remember our lesson for today? I hope so, and I hope that you've learned a lot. Thank you so much for watching. Again, this is Sir Renzi Russell Reyes from San Pedro National High School, San Simon, Division of Pampanga, your English for academic and professional purposes teacher. Keep safe everyone, and God bless us all.